All right, welcome back. Another episode of the Young Old Heads podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tommy, aka TV Sports Cards. I'm here again with my co-host Max at Cards Max. Max, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I just watched the Boston Celtics and Miami Heat play. I am energized for this late evening. It is 11:30 p.m., excuse me, in the East Coast, and I'm doing fine.
Yeah, well, this is a special episode of the Young Old Heads podcast because we are actually crossing over to 3 different time zones. We have with us a very special guest coming straight from the Dallas Card Show with all his knowledge of all the card market, of everything that's going on, here to tell us what went down. We got the man, you might know him from the most epic razzes on Twitter, from some of the best high school mixtapes you'll see from someone that's in the hobby. My man Ryan at Playboy Cards. How you doing, Ryan?
What's up, Tommy? What's up, Max?
Yeah, dude. Happy to have you here, man. How was Dallas last weekend?
Dallas was an amazing time.
Can you
As
give it?
always.
Yeah, I heard it's crazy, man. I was bummed I couldn't make it out this time, but I'll definitely be there next time. Can you give us like a rundown of what a Dallas card show looks like? Like when you arrive, what are you doing the first night, second night? Walk us through a little bit.
So pretty much it's just like 72 hours of straight cards. Like you get there, I landed. I went to the hotel with Jaffe, and then we actually were on the same flight with some other guys. So we all Ubered to the hotel together,
Mhm.
and then we all met up. We met in someone's room too, and then got a little lit, I'd say.
Yeah, a little bit. Can you do you want to name drop anyone? Who are you hanging out with when you go to these shows?
So I met a lot of people in the SoCal like community that
Mhm.
goes to the shows in Orange County and LA, and then also I met up with Ryan's Cards, TJ, and Raul.
Yeah,
We mobbed together for a little bit. We got breakfast on Saturday or no Friday morning,
for
and
sure.
then dude, it's just like it's crazy. Like you meet so many more people every time you go, and
Yeah,
then your circle just gets bigger. And that's how I felt this trip for
yeah,
sure.
that's what I love about the hobby, man. I feel like every time I totally feel the same way. Like every time I go to a show, like I see someone that I met once, they remember me. We banter for a little bit. They introduce me to some other guy that's cool, and we end up being friends. So I always love seeing the circles get bigger, especially like on like social media, seeing like people like commenting, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know you know that guy. Like, oh, how'd you guys meet? Oh, we met at this show. Like, I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
One of the best parts of the hobby for sure. Did you guys get any pickup basketball in this weekend?
No, no, we didn't.
No, that's just a strictly LA card show move.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, there's not really any time.
Yeah,
There's
for
just,
sure. You weren't in Atlanta, but at a Culture Collision, there was actually like a 3-on-3 tournament at the show. It was a pretty interesting vibe with like having that going on at the same time. But it was funny seeing dudes walk around with their like full on uniforms. Well, I want to know though, Max and I were wondering. We were talking before about what was going down in Dallas. Like what were the things that you saw a lot of? What were dealers, selling a lot of more so than past times, or like what was anything interesting that you noticed about like what people were trying to move or what people were trying to buy?
um, it was an interesting Dallas trip for sure because market's kind of funky right now, but still a lot of transacting going on and still a lot of big deals going down. I feel like the market kind of shifted a little bit, maybe towards um, you know, not much as like modern stuff and more towards vintage and like quarterbacks like Josh Allen and Herbert and Mahomes are moving and
A little bit more
um,
of like known assets, less so like just kind of like modern taking flyers on stuff. Max, have you been noticing that same thing for you as a seller?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, no, like Ryan's trying to make the point that like sellers are generally, things that are moving right now are kind of the more like traditional like guys that people are always looking for. Like your boy Saratoga Slabs, Alex is like he's always doing his posts like willing to buy tops chrome gold parallels of the big guys like all the whatever baseball names like Acuna, Soto, those guys. Have you been noticing that too? Like I know you kind of dabble with like Jazz Chisholm and his market. Is there any
I
event?
mean,
Yeah.
once you grow outside of those, common eight or so, I mean, I baseball's my specialty. I stick to that domain. The more that you get out of those those specific lists of players, the less buyers that you have readily available to scoop up all of their cards, and you just even at a certain value price point, you're dealing with more difficult liquidity.
Yeah, and as a Steph Curry collector, it's everyone's like, oh, the market's crashing, and I'm like looking at eBay, like I don't know, I don't know if I see that, but I know that you guys are like actually buying and selling cards significantly a lot. Ryan, you kind of had a tweet that caught my attention this weekend. You said, and you're a big F1 guy. Max is a big F1 guy. You said 4 F1 greatest knowledge collectors are all vying for one card of mine right now. This is surreal. Can you tell us a little bit about like what that vibe was, where you were, what the card was, who those people were?
Yeah, so I purchased the Max Verstappen 2020 PSA 8 Orange Wave.
What's that number out of 25?
Yeah, it's his rookie card technically, and it's pretty hard to find nowadays. But anyways, I purchased it on like Friday night, like at like 3 a.m. at train night.
That's awesome.
So the thing about Dallas is everyone stays in the lobby until whatever time. So they call it train night, and then there's an official train night on Saturday.
What lobby is it? Is this like everyone stays at the same hotel?
Yeah. So the hotel that the convention's at, I stayed there, and I stayed there the past 2 times, and it's just way better if you stay there. Like you just walk downstairs. But anyways, so I got the Max card. The next day, I go to dinner with a bunch of F1 guys, kind of after we pulled the 1-of-1 George Russell flag.
Wine and dine them.
It was crazy. It was crazy. So we all go to a steakhouse, and then afterwards we go back to the hotel for train night, and everyone's just chilling in the lobby. And then these 3 F1 guys, I don't know if I should say their names. But
no, you don't have to say. Yeah, whatever.
No, actually, I'll shout them out because they're good friends now. Jupsa, Tater, and ABC. So, anyways, I mean, I don't know how many people are gonna watch this, and they probably don't know them, but they were
shout them out.
Literally arguing over my card, like. So ABC, has the same exact card of mine.
And he has another one of the Orange Wave refractors.
Same grade, same card. He won another one, and then they're like, I saw it first. Like, no, I touched it first. You won't let me hold it. Like,
so how do the rules of dibs work in that situation when you have 3 buyers like that all one?
Dude, I don't even know. Like, they were literally throwing.
I hope you got your dinner covered.
Yeah.
I did well on the trade, I think. I mean.
Oh yeah, so you ended up trading it.
I did end up trading it. So.
Who did you end up trading it to, and for what did you get?
It was to ABC, and it was to you can check his Instagram. He has one of them. He has a crazy collection.
What's his Instagram?
ABC Always Collecting.
ABC Always Collecting. Cool.
Yeah. And then he has a max red.
Jeez. That's out of 5. That's out of 5, right?
A bunch more.
Yeah.
But anyways, big deal went down. Both sides happy. And then
wait, what can you say what you got for it?
I got a Lewis SP Sapphire 10, a George Russell Gold 70th Portrait 10, and then a little bit of cash on top.
Nice. Yeah, I was gonna say, I hope you got at least a little bit of cash out of that trade. That's a good move.
When I posted the picture, people were like, "Oh, like," but they didn't know cash was involved. So
yeah, I think something that's very big that I think is one of the biggest takeaways of shows is that when you go to dealers, I definitely had many experiences where a dealer wants to take a look at my showcase, take a look at my briefcase, see all of my cool cards, and then say after looking at everything, they pick out one card and they say, "Yeah, I'll take this at 70% comps." And I'm like, "Why did I just show you my entire inventory, my briefcase, if you're just going to look at 70% comps?" I was talking about this. I mean, I'm looking like everyone's getting a shout out today, but I was talking with Logan's League earlier today about one of the biggest aspects of, okay, do you want to stay to this hard and fast rule of being at 70% comps so you never lose a deal, or especially shown at trade nights and at bigger shows in these lobbies, is that people just want a fair deal or a deal that they feel they're winning or both sides feel like they're winning and that it's fair. They're not looking to just stick to a hard and fast rule where like it's a can't lose situation. And I think that's something very important when doing transactions like this.
Yeah, so at these trade nights, it's pretty crazy. Like if you ever can make it to one, it's like a lobby full of people and they're all sitting on the ground and crowding around and like just like shooting the shit. Like they just want to make deals too, and it's an even playing field. There's no vendor to customer.
You feel like that's an even playing field though, or is that like people out here trying to shark you and like pull fast ones?
I mean, yeah, but it goes both ways. Like you're out there, you gotta make your move too. You gotta eat or be eaten.
It's not even that one side is always winning. I know the only official trade night I went to was at Bleecker Trading in New York City, and I mean, first of all, everyone like previously mentioned, everyone's on a level playing field, but the context of the cards that you're dealing and acquiring are very situational. Is this a card that I've been sitting on for a while, or do I need more cash than I usually do, or does this guy look like he grades stuff? Am I going to be able to take advantage of him not grading some of these? It's all and there's definitely times where both parties win a deal, and there's nothing wrong with that.
That's a great point. I think Ryan, you guys, something that both you Max and you Ryan do is you guys buy raw cards and grade them and kind of make a good amount of money doing that. But I think you guys kind of do it in different ways. But I think can you guys or one of you guys want to talk about like what the F1 market looks like for grading and why like you have to rely on that, but also like what the opportunities you see in the F1 market and why that's something that you guys are so heavily invested in?
I know Ryan is going to just expand on whatever I say even more so because, bastion of knowledge right here in this podcast. Something that's very important specifically, I want to say it's just the parallels, but I want all of the Formula One Chrome cards were produced in Italy with a different set of quality control. There's a very common notch on the back of parallels for Chrome F1. PSA will almost always give this just with this notch on the back, the PSA 7 or PSA 8, but SGC will sometimes just not factor this notch significantly in grading entirely. So you really have to pick which company is going to play towards each specific defect, and finding parallels that don't have this notch or don't have a very common other issue with quality control is big.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes the year 2020 F1 so crazy is that it's already a smaller print run compared to, like baseball and basketball. And then the boxes just got so expensive. And then, you rip a box and you can get skunked or you can pull a life-changing card. And it's just the craziest set, in my opinion. It's the top 5 set ever made.
Wow, top 5 set ever made. That's a hot take, but I like it.
I say top 10.
You say top 10. All right, you take it back. I like that though, because that set is, I like that sort of like forethought that you guys have with that set because of like how many rookie cards are in there. It's like the first, F1 Chrome set.
I was the biggest F1 hater when the product came out, just because Topps was maximizing every possible license. I remember at the time that they had cornhole. Thank you. Cornhole League Topps Now cards. And Lewis Hamilton's first Topps Now card is doing, $1,000 to $2,000 on a PSA 10. I'm like, okay, is this even sustainable? Is there enough legitimate interest to it? And now a year later, I am waking up on Sunday mornings to watch races. It sucked me in. It's very fun. The marketing has been insane. And it really just shows if the demand can overweigh the print run, then that will make a product boom. Part of the biggest thing with soccer is that I don't want to say the genuine growth from Americans in soccer has been that large over the past several years, but with F1, it's been exponential. And you can really see just in how dynamic the prices have changed.
Yeah, Ryan, what's your how do you get into F1? Like, what was your first card you bought of F1? What was like how you got it? Are you a fan?
So I didn't even know what F1 was like 1.5 years ago. So I was in Hawaii last June, so almost a year ago, like 11 months ago. I watched the Netflix series with my friends, and then I'd been hearing about F1. I've been, I knew that the product came out, but I didn't know anything about it. So then watched the Netflix series as most people did and fell in love with the sport. And then I go, obviously I go to eBay and stuff and start buying cheap singles, and then I ended up buying a couple boxes just to sit on. Ended up being, obviously a great play. And then as time goes on, these cars just keep on going up in price and becoming more limited, and the market just goes crazy. And then
the rest is history. I feel like there.
and
Yeah.
then,
Are you still sitting on those boxes, or you rip those?
so I moved a couple Sapphire, rebought a couple Chrome. So right now I have I think I have 3 boxes of Chrome, and then a couple boxes of 21 Chrome.
That's sweet. I mean, I'm interested to see what happens now with F1 as these guys, what a vet F1 Lewis Hamilton, refractor, whatever goes for in the future. Because the market is so weird.
Did you see the super sale?
No, were doing a sale on Twitter before this pod, right?
Oh no, the super sale on the Lewis.
Oh, the Superfractor Auto. Wait, the Superfractor non-auto, or they saw Loop? I saw Loop had the Superfractor Auto.
Yeah, they do, but it's not on auction yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the
non-auto
Super Lewis 2020 went for 900,000.
Jeez. Yeah, and then his Futera rookie went for what, 600K, 600K, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the listeners back home, the Lewis Hamilton, he's pretty much for lack of a better comparison, the LeBron James of F1, maybe even the Jordan.
No, he's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT. All right, he's the GOAT, and so he has his first rookie card is this Futera set, which is this limited print run, only released in Asia and Europe maybe, but it was
but still a set that was branded as very high end for the sport. It wasn't just a dumpy Tops Now that just happened to have a low print run. This was meant to be a higher end racing collectible.
Yeah, and it, only from what I hear, only about 50 copies are supposed to exist right now, and I think 2 PSA 9s are out there. So someone bought one of them for 600K, which is pretty cool. But that's one of those weird. It's one of those things where F1 is a market that I know is something, Ryan, that you are interested in, mainly because you are someone that I'm seeing on Twitter who is constantly posting cards that I never knew existed. So is that something that you are actively pursuing, where you're oh, I'm going to try to find things that no one knows about? Or are you oh, this is just something that I'm interested in, and then you find out later that it's rare? For example, the Killmonger PMG that you sold me, that I'll hold up for the camera here.
Yeah. So I think it's mostly of what I like. So I'm into, hip hop culture, other stuff like that. And I like pop culture cards, and I think that they, deserve a place in this hobby. And I take inspiration sometimes from the great curator. He has an unreal pop culture collection, and I love it. I say why not?
Yeah, I mean,
for the weird stuff, people think it's weird, but I mean, I also think it's weird, but I think it's funny. Why not?
Yeah, I feel me and you have very similar perspectives on that. And honestly, I gotta credit you for most of this. I don't think I would have really known about the market for I remember seeing you post that Kanye Taylor Swift card for well, you're probably one of the first people I saw post that card. Not that that's a super rare. Oh, you got it right there, obviously. Not that it's a super rare one, but that's a card you were in on super early as I just think this is cool. I'm gonna trust myself. I'm gonna buy these. I think there's a market for it. And I think that's something me and Max like to talk about on here is buy what you think is cool and rare. And if it's cool and rare to you, then if it's cool to you and rare, you will never lose. And especially in these markets for pop culture stuff, it's something that I think about when I buy cards like that. It's I also am a huge hip hop fan. That's kind of how we bonded. Kind of initially, I feel because your origin of your name, Playboy cards, is something that I was thinking about. It's I am constantly searching for new hip hop. I'm always looking, talking to people about it. People follow music like they do sports, why would that be any different for cards? And Max, I'm gonna let you do your little non-sports monologue here about why you don't think it's that great of a market.
It's not that I necessarily don't think it's a bad market, and I'm not going to expound on those too deeply because a thought did come into my mind of that, which is especially relevant with non-sports, is that the best cards to collect are either ones that are so detailed and have such an interesting history or are so unique that you need to be able to explain them on end in order to understand their significance, or ones that are just so incredible that they speak for themselves. I feel like the ones that are the coolest to collect usually aren't in the middle. It's just very discrete between and a dichotomy between ones that require a lot of explaining and a lot of detail and ones that are just so significant they are standalone pieces.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. Ryan, have you ever made a play on like a non-sports card that like you ended up taking a pretty big L on, or have there been a lot of W's?
Yeah, these PMGs I might take a long time moving. Like I have too many, but at least I graded them, and I think remember that Michael Phelps like Sports Illustrated.
Yeah,
I think I paid like I was into it for like $40 and then sold it for like 30 or something, but it was whatever. Like I definitely take L sometimes on these random cards, but I have made money on them, and it's just fun. Like I don't really mind. Like
yeah,
I took a slight loss on this Kanye card.
Yeah, how much you lose on that Kanye card?
Like $25 probably.
Yeah, but when you're in the F1 market like you, I feel like the non that sort of stuff is kind of more of like you kind of spice it up, right?
Yeah, it's just nice to have it, nice to look at every now and then.
For sure. You do something really fun on Twitter that I want to talk about, which is your razzes, and not because like you're not the only guy out there doing razzes, but you do them in a really unique way. And I want you to kind of talk about how you. So what I'm just going to tell the listeners what you do. So you basically put up like a couple pictures of like 20 to 40 cards and are like, all right, I'm doing a $3 Raz at 100 spots, $3 a spot. And if you win, you can pick out any of these cards you want. And there's a bunch of cool options. And it's always like, I have never seen you post one of those and not had like scrolled and like zoomed in and seen exactly what every one of those cards are, because you always have such a cool variety. Can you tell us about like how you set those up and like what your thought process is, what cards you present to people?
Yeah, so basically I just see it as a fun way to sell cards. It's just allowing anyone to take a chance and take a small percentage of what a card is worth and be able to win a card for that price. And what I do is I give them a bunch of choices, because I oftentimes have a lot of inventory that I need to move, and I let them choose what choice they want. And power to the winner, they can choose a box of wax, or a baseball single, or an F1 card, or even sometimes I threw in like a pair of Yeezy slides. Like it's just fun to me, and then people seem to like it, and sometimes they take a long time to fill, but I don't really mind.
Yeah, I personally like never join a Raz. I very rarely join breaks, but when I see you post like a $3 Raz, I'm like, I spend so much worse money buying like random wax and like hangers and shit. Like I can afford, like I'm like, this is not a bad $3. I'm like, did the math. I'm like, if I enter one of these every month, it's like even if I win one in 4 years, it's like still sort of paying for it. So I'm not really tripping. I'm kind of unique though. Usually you have some degenerates who go in there and like take 30 spots. Like
one of these days you'll win.
Yeah, one of these days.
Yeah, you got to get at least 5 maybe if you want to actually win.
Have you ever had anyone win off one spot in a 100 spot Raz?
I think, yeah, definitely. I think a couple times one spot, and maybe a few other times they have like two or three spots. But
so you're saying there's a chance for me. So I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing it. But something I wanted to talk to you about, which I'm repping right now, shout out, is where you work and like kind of like how you kind of are in the actual card industry, not just as like a dealer, but also as like someone who works in the card. Or can you just tell us about what your shop is that you work at and what your job is?
Yeah, so it sounds crazy that you say that my job is in cards, but it is. So I I do work at a card shop in LA. We're called the Hobbyist. We opened last summer. Yes, repping the merch. Um, we're a beautiful shop in Hollywood, and we're a small team, small-ish location, but tons of wax. Most wax I've ever seen in my life. It's just it's just been a blast working there, and being able to do something that I enjoy, and um, it doesn't really feel like work whenever I go in. It's just surrounded by cards and people that I enjoy being around and have similar interests.
Yeah, for sure. I had the pleasure of going to the Hobbyist back in February with my company Ludex. So I want to just like hype you up a little bit here. You're a very humble guy, and you you are not a very braggadocious guy. But the Hobbyist is probably the coolest card shop I've ever been to. I mean, I don't even know if I can say probably. It definitely is the best card shop I've ever been to. It is a private appointment. Is that true? It's a private appointment like shop where you have to like have called ahead and been like, "Yo, I'm going to show up at this time," and you guys have to agree, right? That's how it goes.
Yeah, so we are appointment only. We do not open our front gates to Melrose Avenue usually. Um, we we kind of decided to do that from the beginning just because we wanted to create like a luxurious private experience for the buyer that um, they can feel like they're valued, and that we can cater anything to them that they need within the card space, and also for safety reasons in Los Angeles, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are open whenever someone's in the shop. We're open for business, and you can just come through the back.
Yeah, that it's a very unique shop. I you very rarely will hear of a card shop like this, but I think especially in LA where you have these kind of people that might be kind of used to those sort of more personalized shopping experiences, that environment is awesome. And also like I chilled there for about an hour with like a bunch of my employees, and like I don't think there's a better place to just hang out and talk about sports cards or like just cards in general than the Hobbyist. Like you guys have like a bar cart set up. There's a TV and a lounge. It feels like you're at like a speakeasy or something, man. It's like, yeah, it's a very cool vibe. And like, I mean, if you're ever in LA or Hollywood, I call ahead, say you listen to the pod, and then Ryan will hook it up, right?
DM me, yeah. Just give us a heads up, and yeah, come through.
Yeah. So what exactly is your job there for them? Can you like, because you travel for and you kind of go as a representative of the Hobbyist sometimes? Is that how it goes?
Yeah. So I'm kind of just like anything really. I'm part breaker, part sleever, part like singles manager, I guess. I don't know. But
Singles manager? What does that mean, dude?
or I don't even know, man. But they sent me to Dallas with a bunch of slabs this trip, and I made a lot of good deals for the shop, and I set up at shows and bring their slabs, their singles, and we work together, and I so have been selling a good amount of cards for them, but I need to start getting into selling more wax.
Yeah, that's sweet. Max, what did you've never heard about the Hobbyist before? What are your first reactions to hearing about like an appointment only card shop?
I am a little bit blown away by the idea, and am surprised that this is the only one of its kind, in that it is, like you said, an appointment only card shop that's meant to be on the more luxurious side. I think of how there's probably 5 or so card shops near me on Long Island that have popped up since 2020 alone, and I want to say 1 or 2 of them are from big time breakers, and most of the others are from old men who are lucky to get allocation. And if anything, they're in a crummy building that are barely paying, or seemingly barely paying, for overhead. So the thought of a higher end private collecting experience, especially when it's, from my understanding, it's a hobby shop, there's lots of wax, which leads to lots of fun and gambling.
Yeah, Max, let me tell you, the Hobbyist has some of the coolest wax you'll see on a shelf at a show at any card shop in the world, maybe even at any show. Like you will see wax, you'll see like 2016 Donruss optic set, like
Good.
wax, like shit like that. Like some of like the nicest wax you could possibly see. Ryan, can you talk about some of the cool boxes you've seen at the shop?
I don't know why I keep cutting out, but yeah, dude, we have a bunch of wax from the past 10 years maybe. Obviously, and like we even have a top 2003 basketball box in our store. We're lucky enough to have a well-known distributor in the area, so we're partners with them, and they're able to get us what we need for sure. But yeah, it's honestly just it's crazy just walking into work and then being surrounded by all this product. Cases
Yeah.
here, cases there.
Does it
Bucks-
desensitize? You're not. Do you rip wax yourself ever?
Very rarely. But
You're smarter than smarter than I. Max, what'd you rip this week?
What did I rip this week? I ripped a box of Bowman, and I ripped a 2022 Bowman, and I ripped a box of 2021 Bowman Chrome Sapphire. That was the first wax I had ripped since early March, and I'm ready to go 2.5 more months without ripping. Those boxes stunk.
Yeah,
that's how often I rip too. But I did rip a F1 hobby a couple weeks ago.
You hit anything good?
Daniel Ricciardo red auto. It's a 5.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's what happens when you only rip wax like 4 times a year. You hit bangers, as opposed to me.
I finally got my hit. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go, dude. That's sick. Yeah, that's how I felt when I hit that Steph out of 10 from Mosaic earlier this year. It's just like,
oh, dude, that was sick. Was that a Sella?
Nah, it's out of Mega. But I got it at retail, so it was like it was a dub. It was a massive dub. But yeah, I think the Hobbyist is something that like, as like every card shop that I see, it's like, dang, are you just like half a break? Like, are you just like a breaking site? It's like when I see people breaking at card shows online, I'm like, why are you even setting up, dude? Like, you're breaking cards for people online while you paid for a table at a card show where people are standing right in front of you trying to buy cards from you, and you can't talk to them because you're on streaming. I don't know. Like, I don't mean to like hate on people, but like, I just don't think that's the future, man. That's not the future.
Sounds like you're a hater.
No, that makes complete sense to me. Like, why pay for that space when you can just stay at home?
Yeah, right? Literally, like, I don't think the people, like, it's loud at card shows. You don't want to be streaming, and like, there's not really good service usually either. It's like, I don't know, man. That always just is like such a bizarre thing to me when people are doing that. But yeah, I think, Ryan, you're like one of my oldest, like, the reason why like I wanted to have you on is because I feel like me and you have kind of grown, not like super like at the same pace, and I don't flip cards really like you do, but like in terms of we kind of started on Twitter similar times and have both kind of got jobs in the hobby since meeting each other and kind of being like doing it as a side thing, and then now it's like kind of all we think about. Can you tell us a little bit about like how you got into collecting and like kind of like your story with that?
Yeah, dude. Honestly, it is crazy to think about what you just said. I think for a lot of people, it all started with the pandemic, and that was when I first got introduced. I think Jonah actually gave me a gift one time, and he threw in a Steph Curry card and like a Jeremy Lin card, and I was like, oh, like he sent me basketball cards, like that's pretty cool.
You're cutting out a little bit here, but I'm going to give a quick shout out to our man, Jonah. He's at Plato's Cards on Twitter. Jonah is one of like me and Ryan's he's Ryan's actual real life homie, and he's my real life homie too. He stayed with me in my apartment. Like, we've gone out, we've done shit together, but like Jonah was also one of the guys that like helped me early on. He was like, dude, like, he was not like one of those stack sellers on Twitter who's like trying to just like make hella money off me. He was like trying to tell me what's up, and like we kind of realized we were the same age, into the same shit. And then he introduced me to you. I kind of forgot about that. Like, shout out Jonah in general, man. Jonah's the man. So Jonah gave you a birthday present with some cards. What happened from there?
And at the time, I was a big 2K player, NBA 2K, and they had this mode called My Team where you can buy and sell cards of players and use those players to play with. And it was basically the same, like, how the market works in the hobby too. Like,
it's the same concept.
You can list your cards for auction, buy and sell. You can actually like invest in cards, and then so I was working on My Team auction house market, and I got introduced to sports cards, and then I don't know what led me to buy some cards on eBay, but I did. I ended up buying a Lonzo Ball second year status base card.
That's awesome.
It was my first purchase back in the hobby. It was like 78 cents or something, like $1. And
that is so awesome.
And that basically started the addiction. And then selling my first card started another addiction. So then from there on, just keep buying, selling. 2 years of buying, selling, and then that's where I am today. And was able to meet some people along the way. Found a job in the hobby, and I can call it my full-time job now.
Something that I find to be a very interesting parallel, and the times that I've done this have been when I've been absent with cards, was you were referencing NBA 2K, my team. For me, I was just grinding the 2014 Madden Mobile auction houses, trying to flip players, maximize my coins so I can get a better overall team while also, improving my allotment of coins to buy more players. And I think in this realm of Gen Zers, people that are generally 25 and under, growing up with that type of stuff is directly translates to collecting, like you've mentioned.
Yeah, it was wild. Like I was in 2K, I was playing the game to earn coins, while also selling stuff on the auction house to earn coins, and then I was selling coins to my friends.
That's awesome, dude. I think like that's honestly like what I feel like is like the easiest thing. And like if I was Fanatics, I would just throw a ton of money at 2K and be like, dude, like throw in exclusive packs into your like the game. Dude, you know how many people would be lining up outside of GameStop if there was like exclusive parallels inside of 2K games, dude? I just feel like the crossover there is like so easy money, and the fact that they don't do it already is just such a disservice to the hobby, I think. Like, don't you think that? Like, Ryan, wouldn't that be a sick idea?
What you just said is crazy. Imagine if 2K did a collaboration with Panini or eventually Topps and did trading cards in the game that you can use, and it's like a prism card, let's say. Yeah.
Dude, that's the fucking feature. Max, you got something to say about that?
I have not purchased a video game console since 2008, when I got an Xbox 360. My gaming at this point is limited to chess.com and Lichess.
All right, boring nerd. No, I'm just kidding. We love you, Max. But Ryan, like that's something that like I feel like me and you, like me and Max talk about this stuff a lot too. Is just like how to expand the hobby, like how to get people into it. I think you have a lot of ideas for that too, like the crossover between pop culture, music, being willing to take chances with like a sport like F1, like trusting your gut that like what you think is cool, what's interesting to you and your friends is something that like other people will also find interesting, and that's just fucking real life, dude. That's just how shit goes down. Like I think that's why I'm optimistic about the future of the hobby, and I think all three of us are probably as like young people heavily invested in it. Like we see people's faces when they see cards for the first time, and I can tell pretty much immediately if someone's going to be into it or not, like if they're going to get it or not. Like Ryan, do you have experience with friends in LA and like from college and stuff where like they'll be like, dude, I just like saw you post something and now I'm like kind of into it a little bit? Do you have people reaching out to you?
Like about the cards?
Yeah.
Here and there, like a lot of my friends, they know I do it now, and they support it, I guess. But it's honestly, yeah, it's crazy to see how far we've come, I guess, like as an industry in the hobby, and I think it's gonna continue to grow, hopefully, with years to come.
Yeah, and for sure, man. Especially with people. I mean, I'm gonna keep gassing you up, Brian, but like just like people like you in the hobby, and like the people like that, like not only you, but like your extended circle of guys that like I really enjoy and like got to meet when I was out in LA. Like I feel like those type of people being invested in the hobby is what I want. And honestly, like as much as like as a cliche as this is, like we are the future of the hobby, man. Like what we are into and what we are buying now is what's going to be popular, that's going to hold value, is like shit that we think holds value. Like it's not whatever that's why we call ourselves the young old heads, because we're not like out here we're not out here saying like, oh, only buy vintage cards. You know, I have my colleague Matt who came out to LA with us, who was like, who loves to talk about vintage F1, and not that I'm hating on vintage F1, but like, you know, like there's something about Drive to Survive and like the connections people make with those guys from those shows that's what's driving a lot of the value, not the sport itself necessarily. You know.
Yeah.
Have you looked into the F1 vintage F1 market at all since then?
Not really, man. It's just, I think it's too deep to dive into.
There's a guy on Instagram that I think you should follow who actually lives in West Hollywood. Who's a friend of mine. His ad is at Sunsport Trading. Do you have you seen him?
No. What about him?
So he honestly, if you have your phone with you, look him up on Instagram right now. He lives in West Hollywood. You should honestly reach out to him, I think, Ryan, if you want. But he has the best Senna collection in the world, I think. He has like the highest grade, I think, of his rookie, and he's our age. He's like a young 20s guy.
Wow.
Really cool guy, Kimball. I hope he's chill with me talking about it. I think he's probably chill about me talking about him, but he's a really nice guy, and like he lives in LA now. So I think you should reach out. I think he would be a good guy for you to link up with. He has a plethora of hobby knowledge. I don't know anyone like our age who knows more about some of this like older non-sport vintage and F1 like kind of markets, kind of the same stuff that you're into, but for older stuff.
Yeah.
Cool guy. Shout out him. Max, do you have thoughts on anything right now? I'm at a loss.
I am at a loss for words when we talk about vintage, let alone vintage F1.
All right. Well,
I let the masters speak.
Yeah, Ryan, what's up?
I am trying to get into vintage though.
Yeah. Have you made any buys, or like what are your thoughts?
Not F1 in particular, but I think that the vintage market is one of the most steady, and it will be the most steady to come, like in maybe the next year, a couple of years, I think. Yeah, and I'm not in it. I don't know anything. I'm not in the vintage market, but from what I've been hearing, been seeing, I don't know. I just want to give it a try and get in there and get some vintage cards.
Yeah, that's another reason to go to card shows, is like it's easier to learn about vintage markets and stuff by asking the dealers that only have vintage. Like I love going to card shows and asking the guys that have like the weird vintage stuff, like what's up with it and like where they got it, why they have it, like what's the value, what's the cool story behind like this weird vintage card. I always bring up this Northwestern card that I bought at a card show. That's like the first. It's like the first basketball card. So it's like a really old. It's a 1910s card, but it's like a cigarette card. But it's like one of the first cards depicting people playing basketball. And like that's something where like I don't think I would have really figured that out online. Like there's not like an article that's like oldestbasketballcards.com or it's not like there's like Bleacher Report's not writing like 5 vintage basketball cards you should be buying today. Like those aren't really things you can trust online. So like having a dealer that like I could clearly see was legit with all his stuff that he had out there telling me this stuff, I'm like, wow, that's something I don't know if I would have learned. But Ryan, me and Max love talking about collecting. I'm as you know, as someone who's sold me many cards, I'm a huge Warriors collector, and like I know that you keep some PC, you flip you mainly are buying and selling, and you're a appreciator of cards. You hold cards for a while. Can you talk to it? Do you have anything you keep for your PC? Any guys?
I do have a couple guys I keep in my PC. So I decided to make my true PC Jeremy Lin, for obvious reasons. He's my favorite player and of all time, probably. Other than Kobe, of course. Just for like what he's done for Asian American kids like me, and he's Taiwanese. I'm Taiwanese, so not just Asian American, but we're from the same country, our parents. But anyways, him and Yao Ming is my secondary PC.
Oh, that's sweet. I didn't know about the Yao Ming PC. I know about your Jeremy Lin PC, and it's something that I love watching. You have a National Treasures RPA, right?
I have 2.
You have 2 National Treasures RPAs? Damn, dude, that's sick.
Right here, you want to see him?
Yeah, pull them out. I know. I you know why I love Jeremy Lin rookie cards, right? Because they're on the Warriors.
Right, I'll show you 3 PCs.
Yeah, show them.
Here's PSA 9 Jeremy Lin.
That's can you describe it for the people that might be listening?
So National Treasures is probably one of the highest end. I mean, it is one of the highest end basketball collections.
Me and Max like to say National Treasures is the highest end. I think we like to make declarations out here.
I am fully a victim to just the strong branding of it.
Yeah.
I will fall to consumerism.
Yes, and the rookie RPA, rookie patch auto for MT is the, what do you call it?
The most desirable, like the most valuable for sure.
It's the most expensive, desirable card for any player. And I don't know if he had an RPA, but I have 2 just autos. And
National Treasures autos. Those are sick. Wow, that's an awesome card.
Rookie. And then another cool one is Kobe and Jeremy Lin.
That's a game worn select dual patch of Kobe and Jeremy Lin. That's a really awesome card. Those are your guys right there, man.
Yeah, literally.
Those are your fucking guys. That's awesome. Those are sweet cards. Is there a community of I know I've seen a few Jeremy Lin collectors on social media. Do you guys did you buy those off other collectors or are those something you found kind of in the wild?
Kind of in the wild. I do actually. I've seen a few collectors on Instagram too, and I've actually talked to one of them. But he does have a really strong market. Like, probably surprises a lot of people. But these cards, like, they're for my PC.
Yeah,
actually.
You're not getting rid of those. I that's why I wanted to, honestly, that's another. I mean, there's a million reasons why I wanted to have you on, but I think your Jeremy Lin collection is elite, man. It's it's one of those things where you have some of the nicest Jeremy Lin cards, and I do want to just Jeremy Lin's market is a well-deserved high demand market. I mean, people our age, I'm 23, Max is 22, you're 23 too, Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah, for us, dude, when Linsanity happened, that was that's a pivotal moment. Everyone experienced that for a month. I was holy shit, Jeremy Lin. Can you tell? Did you have any experiences like that? What was that like for you?
I was in 8th grade, and basically, he was taking over the league by storm, and I was in the middle of my basketball season, so it was unbelievable, man. I couldn't even fathom what was happening on my TV screens when I was watching, and this Asian guy was dropping 40 on the Lakers, and buzzer beaters, game winners, and I bought a shirt immediately and wore it before my games and stuff like that. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. I mean, I remember I was watching that. Oh, you have a poster. I remember I was watching that Raptors game winner live on NBA TV, and I was like, I forget which game it was in this year, and his string of games. I think it was the 3rd game or something. Oh, that's epic! A Jeremy Lin Knicks shirt. No, but I remember he hit that, and I was like, of course he hit that. I had no doubt in my mind that shot was going in, and it was in Toronto, and the crowd went nuts. Raptors fans were cheering like they had just hit a game winner when there's never been anything like that that's happened in the NBA, and I think that alone. It's one of those things where that alone warrants value forever when you have something special like that. Especially for what he means, to the Asian American community growing up in the Bay Area. That's very heavy part of the culture there as well. And a lot of my friends, I could tell how important it was to a lot of my friends as well who were hooping and stuff. So shout out Jeremy Lin. Shout out Yao Ming as well. Do you talk with Slab Mafia Sports ever about that, Rohan?
A little bit. We go back and forth on the timeline, but nothing too deep. But yeah, he's the primary Yao collector. I just have a few things here and there. I got this on Whatnot today.
What's that? We got a little. Is that a patch?
That's sick.
It was it was a $1 auction, and I won it for $5 probably. And then I just said why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah, Max, do you respect the Ryan's collection?
I respect Ryan's collection, especially as you guys.
Oh, it's signed. That shirt's signed. I didn't even see that. Do you meet him?
Yeah, I met him at a meet and greet in LA when he was on the Lakers.
Oh, that's sick. Was he a cool guy?
I mean, yeah, I just said hi, what's up, and took a selfie, and then he signed my shirt.
Yeah, that's dope. I I want to say just like as a Warriors fan that, and as a Jeremy Lin appreciator, that I was so pissed last year as a Warriors fan that they never called him up from the G League. I think that's one of like, I think that's a huge slight to him, and the fact that they were calling up guys like Kai Bowman and Nico Mannion were getting minutes over him. I'm just like, the for all that Jeremy Lin's done for basketball, and like not only for basketball but just like culture, like the fact that in Bay Area, like how like Bay Area loves Jeremy Lin, dude. Like he went to his
Palo Alto.
Yeah, Palo Alto High. I forgot the name. Yeah, so Palo Alto High guy. Like the fact that they didn't bring him up for even a game, dude, just for the fans was like, I couldn't even believe that. It really rubbed me the wrong way. It made me pissed at Steph. Like, I don't even know, man. I was just angry.
Me too a little bit, but it is what it is, you know.
Yeah, it is what it is. Max, you have any questions for Ryan before I do some closing questions for him? Some closing quick hits.
No closing quick hits.
All right. Well, I have a couple quick hits for you, Ryan, if you're down.
All
right. Playboy Cards gets promoted to CEO of Fanatics. What's your first move? Too deep.
You dropping on me?
No. All right. How about this? Favorite set.
Oh, F1.
F1. 2020 Chrome F1. Do you have a
favorite set besides F1?
Yeah. Besides that, you already brought that up. Favorite basketball set? Do you have a favorite basketball set?
Probably, but I can't think of it.
No, you're good. Dude.
I'm gonna go with maybe Spectra is up there. I like it may not be my favorite, but I just want to say that it's a little underrated in my opinion.
All right, respect. Me and Max have yet to bring up Spectra once, I think, on the podcast. So the fact that you're bringing it up, I love it, because that's not something that honestly, Spectra is a product that I've ignored largely in my collection as like collecting clay and stuff. Like I don't think I have any Spectra clay, but shout out Spectra, interesting product. I guess that's maybe a culture, maybe like a East West Coast thing. I don't know. But no, all right. Other thing, would you rather have an auto or a same value card, like serial numbered, like lower print run card?
So same value, but one's like a base auto and one's
like a parallel or something. Not like a base auto, but like an auto. Let's say base auto for the sake of the question, and like a rare card that's not autographed but same value.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I think I cut out for a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't hear your answer.
I would probably go with the auto.
All right, auto. Would you rather have a nasty patch or but with like worse condition, not a great condition card, or a really nice auto, or like a lesser, like a more common auto but nicer condition?
More common auto but nicer condition. Oh, that's a tough one actually. I would probably go with the nicer condition because I have the chance of grading it and getting a 10.
Yeah, that's the difference between me and you there. I would always 10 out of 10 times go with the patch. Max, do you have any thoughts on these questions?
If I'm trying to make money, then I go for the higher grade card most of the time. But if I'm going for enjoyment, I would rather have the lower grade card.
Fair enough. I get that. Do you have any, Ryan, do you have any grails, anything you're going for this year? Anything that like you have goals for, like, I'm going to build up my war chest, as Max likes to call it, to try to get a certain card?
No, like specific goals, but I just probably just to keep building, like keep making plays, you know?
Yeah, man. You just keep, do you have any phrases that you use? I know Max has like I forget whether cash flow was one at some point. Cash flow. Yeah.
I like to say stuff like "we move," like
yeah, we move.
Yeah,
I like that one. We move. It's just like insinuating that, like, things are always happening. I'm always buying. I'm always selling. I'm always, you're realizing your gains kind of in the moment and not necessarily like all at once. I really respect everything you do, Ryan. I think you're an awesome guy, and I'm hyped to meet up again at the National. If you're gonna be out at the National, yeah.
I haven't booked yet, but I'll be there.
I'm in the same boat.
I better be there because I miss it. I'll be sick.
Yeah, I was gonna say, bro, you better be there. I want to like whatever. Yeah, let's shout out. Can you shout out your the homies though that you were in Dallas with? I think you can name them by name. We're deep enough in the pod.
Yeah, dude. I honestly, this Dallas trip, I hung out with so many like different people and so many different groups, and some of the guys from Twitter were there, and I finally met ZMed and Stead Cards, the guys from Card Brokers, and I hung out with Ryan, TJ, Raul, Jaffe, of course, and met some guys from NorCal, from SoCal.
Word.
Yeah,
dude, that's like I just want to say that like the hobby is not cliquey. Like if you're at a show and you see like a group of guys like your age that are talking in like a corner or like not at a table or anything, like don't ever be afraid to like just go up there and like just like join the conversation, see what they're talking about. I think that everyone is always, everyone's always more like or scarier than you think they're gonna be from afar. Like I feel like on Twitter, like I'll see guys like ZMed or whatever, and I don't know ZMed at all. I've never talked to him, but like I know that like he's got to be a good guy. He's friends with Ryan, or he's he's friends with Max, and like the people like that, like as long as you have something, and like everyone's in the hobby, man. Like we're all kind of nerds. We're all kind of into like nerdy shit, and like we're all just out here, man. We move, we move.
I was just telling my dad this, that like you meet so many people and then you build relationships, and then those relationships can like connect you to other people, and then you just keep building and then meeting more people and networking, which is something I've been trying to work on. And I don't know, it's just so much fun. Yeah
for sure. Yeah, like especially since I started working at LUDX, man, where I'm like 24/7 like thinking about the card market, the industry at large. Like I'm way more about like trying to not necessarily like, I hate the word network, even though Max loves using it, but like, like you're just like, I just want to meet as many people as possible who are in the hobby and doing cool shit. And like, you're one of those dudes, man. You're doing cool shit. And like, you won't say it yourself, but like, you're doing some of the cool shit, man. Like where you've come from and where you're going, man, is like, it's fucking inspiring, man. Like people gotta hear about it. Cause like, this is real life. Like you grew your shit from Twitter. You got a job at a hobby shop, and now you're flying around the country going to card shows, flipping with the biggest fucking people in the industry, doing shit, man. Like that's awesome. Get hyped.
I appreciate that, homie. Yeah.
Max,
it's crazy to think about, and it is technically my job now, and I treat it like that. But it's the most fun job ever.
Yeah, man. I feel the same way. Like, but I think the lesson that I want people to take away, or at least from my fucking random ass monologue here at the end, is just like, I'm not gonna do some Gary Vee shit, but like you can do what you want to do. Like Max has a similar story of like he was flipping 10-cent, 25-cent stack sell cards, and now he's flipping.
I still do, and I love
it. dude, at this Dallas show, I bought so much low end.
Yeah, man. That's what I love about it. The fact that you brought up the fact that you bought a $5 Yao Ming patch for your PC, dude, is just like, that's what it's fucking about, man. I'm cussing way too much. That's how you know that's the end of the podcast. Max, any final thoughts for us?
In terms of social media following, finances, those being more business metrics, as well as, the non-business metrics, enjoyment, fulfillment, especially, if you're working a 9 to 5 and you're working a salary job, you're getting the same pay every week and you're going to get promoted and you're going to get a raise in your pay. But the growth with that is generally linear. And part of why this is such a unique space, aside from that, we mingle with so many people that have the same, that we all know each other's addresses. We all know everyone's, we all know everyone's PayPal. There's a lot of trust that innately comes with this community, and every single aspect of it grows exponentially rather than linearly.
Yes.
That's some real shit, man. I think, I mean, that's what we're trying to do here, Ryan. And like, we're still starting out as a podcast, but like, we're trying to treat it like this is what we want to do. We want to bring these conversations that like, I feel like I only really have conversations like what me and Max have here, like what you're bringing to the table here. Like I only really have had these in like card shows before, and like bringing that kind of dialogue out to like people to listen to, and like the fact that like content doesn't just have to be about what you should be buying and what you should be selling right now, but like about the experience at large. And like it's like a human fucking, it's just a human thing, man. Like we all are out here, we all are moving, we move. And I'm gonna end with that because I think that's a good, I love that line, and I'm gonna start using that a lot.
Love it.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Ryan. We'll definitely have you on again for sure. Maybe we'll have a little segment at the National if we can all link up for a sec and do like a little like recap at some point. I think that'd be kind of fun.
That'd be awesome.
All right, cool.
Thank you guys for having me. It was a blast.
Yeah, it was a blast. All right.